Righty, thank you very much, everyone. Before we begin, is there anyone else that needs a copy of the resolution? Is there anyone that needs a copy of the resolution? Raise your hand and get that to you. Here you go. All right. Anyone else need a copy of the resolution before we begin? Thank you. Hey, staff, is there any way the window can be opened? You know, can you allow us to open the window? Yeah, the louvers are rusted shut. Sorry. Who's the councilman over here? Oh, me. Oh, sorry. Gotta get that 3-in-1 oil. Yeah, let's open up that door. Thank you. Thank you, Nora. Alrighty. Hey, aloha, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time and effort to be here tonight in Papaikou. Thank you. I know it's a Friday night, and you probably have other places that you could be at and would like to be at, but you chose to be here tonight. So I want to say thank you for doing that. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Dominic Yagong. I'm the councilman representing the Hamakur. So thank you. Representing the Papaikou Hilo and Rose South Hilo district, at least until December 4th anyway, of this year. But I really appreciate the opportunity. I've been representing the district for 12 years now, and I got to tell you, I wouldn't take back any minute of that 12 years. It's been a wonderful experience, and mainly it's because of the wonderful people of the district. So I thank you so much for allowing me to serve throughout these years. Thank you. Now, one of the difficult things about doing a job like this, obviously, there's a lot of issues that come forward that is really easy, simple, no controversy, no contention, and that's good stuff. And then you get things such as this that, you know, obviously there's people that feel very strongly about this on both sides of the issue. You know, when we talk about eminent domain, which is condemnation, it's something that I personally do not take lightly. It's a very serious thing when you talk about the government, you know, considering taking of any property. So it's a very important issue. It's a very one that is obviously very emotional for a lot of people. So, but at the same time, the only way to have issues like this come forward, and the only forum to discuss this issue, is at the Hawaii County Council. So what I decided to do here is to bring this forward, and so that we can have a discussion, and wherever this ends up, it still is in the hands of the Hawaii County Council taking the vote and making the decision. So what I wanted to do tonight, folks, if I could, is just kind of go over a little bit of what the resolution says, or what the resolution is trying to accomplish. I think that's number one. The second thing I want to do is to kind of talk to you folks about the process of how that process works. Just to let you know, this type of process, it's not something that happens in 2 months. A condemnation, eminent domain, because it has to go to the court. I mean, we're talking about 9 months to a year, maybe even more. So there's a process. This is a very long process. But none of that can take place unless the Hawaii County Council votes to authorize the administration, the Corporation Council, to move forward in the eminent domain system, which is through the court system. So what we're doing right here, the piece of paper in my hand, is basically just half of the process. But the thing is, you can't get to the other half of the process unless you get an approval here. And basically what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I need my glasses, is I won't go over the whole resolution, but I think we all know about the property that we're talking about. We all know that we're talking about the road that goes out to Pinkies, all the way down to the end. And of course, the property is owned by Mr. Wah and Charlene Pritchard, and the trail that goes out to the Old Mill Beach. And so, basically, I'll read the title for those of you that don't have this in your hand. It's a resolution providing for the acquisition of easements in private property by eminent domain being a portion of tax map key 32-7-004-118 and 3-2-7027-065, situated in Papaikou district of South Hilo, to provide a pedestrian public access easement to the beach of Papaikou. Now, basically, you have that, and that all the whereases that's in the resolution. Basically, it's a justification for what, or explaining why you're trying to do what you want to do. But where the real key is in regards to this resolution is in the place where it says, be it resolved by the council. But basically, it's that section that is the action that's going to be taken by the council should the county council approve this. Now, for those of you that do not know, there's 9 members on the Hawaii County Council. In order to approve this resolution, you need a majority vote, which is at least 5 people voting to say yes. Okay. Now, the be it resolved is basically, like I mentioned, the action taken. So let me read this. It says, be it resolved by the Council of the County of Hawaii that it is necessary for a public use of purpose, to wit, for the benefit of the public, to ensure access to the beach of Papaikou, to take, acquire, and condemn the pedestrian public access easement for a portion of that certain private property identified as tax map key, and he goes on to talk about the tax map key, Papaikou district of South Hilo, described in Exhibit 1 and delineated in Exhibit 2 attached here too. Now, that's basically the map that you folks see up on the wall over there. It says, be it further resolved that the Corporation Council of the County of Hawaii be and hereby is authorized and empowered to initiate proceedings in eminent domain as provided by law for the taking, acquisition, condemnation of aforesaid easement over private property. And it goes on to say, be it further resolved that in the process of said proceedings in eminent domain, the Corporation Council, that's the lawyers of the County of Hawaii, be and is hereby authorized and empowered to negotiate terms of the settlement, subject to the approval of the court before which such proceedings are prosecuted. And then be it further resolved that the Director of Finance is hereby authorized to initiate any funding mechanism required for the acquisition of said public access easement. So what this resolution does, ladies and gentlemen, is basically have a proceeding to determine whether or not the county council would like to move this through the court system for eminent domain for the roadway that leads from Pinky's all the way down to the Walls property, and of course to get it trail down to the beach. So if this passes the Hawaii County Council, then we will go to the proceeding to acquire that easement so that there is a pedestrian easement in perpetuity. That is owned by the general public. So basically, that's what the resolution does. What I wanted to do is, at the very end, I'm going to go over the process of the timeline, and then I'm going to open it up the floor so that any questions that you may have from the audience, will open up the floor for that, okay? So if you guys don't mind, thank you for it. I want to give a question. So basically, that's the resolution. Okay, now I want to kind of go through the process for which the resolution will go through. Today is basically just a community meeting. I want to make sure that I take the opportunity to invite the greater Papaikou community to be able to come and share your thoughts in regards to this particular issue. Whether you like the idea, whether you don't, this is an opportunity for us to do that. Now, I do want to say, when we do get to that portion, and please, I ask you from the bottom of my heart, with all sincerity, I ask each and every one of you to respect everyone's thoughts here today. Whether you agree with them or not, I would really appreciate that we're here in Papaikou, that we share the aloha to everybody, and understand that everyone has their opinion in regards to this issue. And it's okay to share them without worrying about being booed or hissed or, I don't run those kind of meetings, so I appreciate that respect from everyone that's here today, okay? So we'll have that opportunity to open up the floor for that. But before we do, I want to explain the process for which we are going. Now tonight, it's just a committee meeting for you to meet with your council member of the district and for me to hear your thoughts as we move forward towards this particular resolution. The resolution has already been submitted for processing. So that's why you have a number on it. It's resolution 308-12. This item is going to be on the agenda, I wrote it down here, on October 2nd, 2012. Now, before the county council can ever discuss anything or make a decision on any issue, it has to be on the county council agenda. And we have to post it, and we have to let everyone know that we're going to be discussing Resolution 308-12. So it's going to be a regular meeting on October 2nd. The resolution will be on the Finance Committee agenda. Now, at this time, we don't have the exact time of that particular committee. What happens on October 2nd, we hold meetings for all different committees: Public Works, if there's items for Planning Department, if there's items for Finance, item for Environmental Management. That day you'll have several committees. Once we set the times of each committee, for example, maybe the Finance Committee may begin at 9 o'clock, or it may begin at 1 o'clock, we don't know. But we're gonna have to figure that out once we get all the agenda items for the committee. But once we, it'll be for sure on October 2nd, it'll be on the Finance Committee, but the time to be determined. But that should be determined real soon within this, by early next week, we should be able to let you folks know what time that will be. Now, I just want to let you folks know what my intention is on October 2nd. Now, basically, when it comes up to the committee level, which will be the Finance Committee, the County Council will then discuss whether or not they agree to vote yes for the eminent domain or vote no for the eminent domain. But it is my intention that that meeting, that instead of going into an extensive discussion by the council members and to those that do come and testify, my intention is ask for a motion for a public hearing out in Papaikou. And what that means is this: the motion would be, I move to have a public hearing in Papaikou on October, whatever date that is, so that the people of Papaikou, which many of you work during the day, you're not able to come to the meetings at 9 o'clock or whatever that is, but it gives the people of Papaikou an opportunity to attend the public hearing, just like what we're doing now. But the difference would be, is you would have 9 council members now sitting in front of you. And the purpose of the public hearing would be this: it is not for the council members to make any decision. As a matter of fact, the council members will not even discuss anything with the audience. The public hearing is designed and set up for the 9 council members to hear from the community that this particular item impacts. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be from Papaikou to come forward for the public hearing or to even participate and testify. Anyone can do that. So anyone can be from Kona, from Puna, from Kau. But for me, I wanted to make sure that the public hearing is held right here in Papaikou. And of course, I want to have it here in this gym. Maybe we can get that the thing to pull. It's not working, by the way. It doesn't pull on the other side. But at any rate, so the idea on October 2nd is for me to make a motion for a public hearing, and you need 3 council members to vote yes for a public hearing, and we won't have a problem with that. So I just want to let you folks know that we will be asking for a motion to call for a public hearing to be held in Papaikou, so that the council members can hear directly from the community in regards to this issue. Now, and possibly what I'd like to do is set up a site visit for the council member as well. I think it's important that, when people make decisions, they know exactly what they're dealing with. So hopefully we'll be able to set a site visit so the council members prior to the public hearing can actually take a walk down there to see the beautiful beach that we have, and of course the trail that's being provided right now by the Pritchards and the WAS. Now, the date of the public hearing is going to be determined on the availability of this facility, but it's going to be held between October 8th and October 12th. Once I knock down that with the facility manager here, we'll be able to get that date to everybody. But for sure, it'll be between October 8th and October 12th. More than likely, we're shooting for October 9th, but it's not confirmed yet. But we'll try to do that to get that information to you. That's why it's good that you sign in. Those that didn't sign in, if there's like an email or way that we can get a hold of you, we can let you folks know. Okay? So again, we do the motion for the public hearing on October 2nd, and we have it here in Papaikou, and it's going to be between the 8th and the 9th, between the 8th and the 12th. Now, once we set the public hearing, I kind of mentioned this already, that once we determine a date, let you folks know that there will be no decision made by the council that night. The only thing the council will do is sit there and listen to everyone that come and testify. Everyone will be allowed 3 minutes to testify, and only 3 minutes to testify. and you can't speak on behalf of somebody else and read somebody else's testimony. If you want to testify, you will have 3 minutes, and you don't have to use up the whole 3 minutes, but you have up to 3 minutes. We will also be accepting testimony. If you folks wish to send in testimony, we can get, you can send it to, if you have a pencil, it's dyagong at co.hawaii.hi.us. Now, you can also find that email address at the county website. Or, you can always call Dominic Yagong, because I'm the only Yagong in the phone book, okay? And I can get you that address as well. So, no decision will be made. Testifiers have up to 3 minutes to testify at the public hearing. Now, after the public hearing is going to be held, for sure, the resolution will then be heard on October 16th. And that's going to be, the scheduled meeting for October 16th is at the West Hawaii Civic Center in Kona, which means half of the council members are going to be in Kona, the other half is going to be in Hilo for video conferencing. But we will take up the Finance Committee meeting, the resolution, and it will be voted on at that time. Okay? So, public testimony will be allowed, of course, in Kona, where I'm going to be as chairman. And then you can also provide testimony from Waimea, Hilo, and Pahoa office. And it's the same rules. You can testify for 3 minutes, for or against, the resolution. And that's going to be on October 16th meeting in Kona. Now, vote will be taken at that time at that Finance Committee meeting. Okay? Now, what happens is, on a bill, a resolution like this, it has to go through 3 readings. So this is going to be the first of 3 readings. Now, at this vote, at this Finance Committee meeting, 9 council members will vote. And whether it passes or not, let's say if it passes, what it happens is it moves up to the full council for consideration. If it doesn't pass at the Finance Committee, at that time, say there's only 4 votes, or 3 votes, or 2 votes, or 1 vote, then what will happen is, excuse me, thank you. So what happens is, if there isn't the 5 votes at the Finance Committee here on the 16th, the item still moves up to the full council, and if it didn't have the 5 votes, it'll move up with a negative recommendation. But it still moves up to the county council for another reading, okay? Now, again, you'll have 3 minutes to testify, and a vote will be taken on the October 16th. Whether it passes or fails, the item will move up to the next, to the county council. Now, the county council meeting is going to be on November 9th, 2012. That's going to be the first reading of this bill. Now, at this time, the November 9th meeting, that's going to be held at the Hilo Council Chambers. Okay, and it's going to be that for sure is going to be 8 o'clock in the morning. Again, public testimony will be allowed in Kona, Waimea, and Pahoa as well. Same 3-minute limit. Now, at this vote, this resolution, in order to pass, would need a minimum of 5 council members voting in favor of the passed resolution. Now, if it doesn't get the 5 votes at that time, then the resolution dies. Then it's not being considered at that time. So, at the November 19th, that's the very first vote that does have whether the resolution continues on or just dies at that time. So again, a minimum of 5 votes will be needed. Now, if there is no minimum of 5 votes, the resolution of eminent domain dies at the November 9th. If there is a minimum of 5 votes out of the 9, then it moves on to the second and final reading. Okay? And the second and final reading will take place on November 21st, 2012. And that meeting, the county council, the chair, I'll be in the West Hawaii Civic Center in Kona. It'll begin at 8. Again, public testimony will be allowed in all the different locations. Again, the 3-minute rule applies. At that meeting, at that time, that will be the final reading regarding this particular resolution. And again, it's the same way. You need at least 5 votes to pass it. And if you don't have the 5 votes, then it would die again at this level. So basically, that would be the process that we have for the first part of any eminent domain proceedings for the county of Hawaii. Now, if it passes, let's just assume that the resolution does pass. But if it if it doesn't pass, it dies at that time. Let's say it does pass. At that time, the resolution will be sent to the mayor, the finance director, the corporation council, and of course the owner of the properties. At that time, funding for the acquisition will be needed to be secured, because obviously we have to pay someone to do the surveys of the property, the meets and bounds, and eventually an offer to the owner for the value of the property that the county is wishing to eminent domain or take over in condemnation. And right now we're in the middle of the fiscal year. Right now we're in the current budget year. This current budget year ends on June 30th, 2013. I'm sorry, yeah, 2013. And the new budget cycle begins on July 1st, 2013. So if it gets this far as where it is approved and sent to the mayor, and at that point in time the decision by the administration is going to be whether or not they can get the funding secured in this fiscal year. That's a possibility. Or if they are not able to secure it in this fiscal year, then what would happen is the county council, of course I'm not going to be part of the county council at that time, but the county council would have to make sure that the July 1st, 2013 budget that is approved by the county council has the funding to acquire the particular property. Okay? And that would be the process that we at the county council would move forward with in order to get to a point where, proceed towards the second half of eminent domain, which is through the court system. Okay? And I just want to reiterate once again that the county departments can request for an eminent domain, the mayor can request for an eminent domain, but the only authority that has the authority to do and proceed with an eminent domain is the county council. So that's why it is on my desk, and that's why we're here today to discuss this particular item. So, with that said, that's kind of the process. Does anyone have a question about the process? Not about whether you like the idea or not, whether you're for it or against it. Is there a question about the process? Up there, go ahead. Any item, the question was, if the process dies, can it be brought back up? The way our charter, county charter reads, that any item that comes up to the county council that dies, you're not able to bring that up or refresh that for at least 1 year. Yeah. Yeah, and then you'd have to kind of start all over. Good question, thank you. Any question about the process? Yes, sir. Yes.
By the council members so they can walk the route and see the problem with regard to the roadway, with regard to what that trail is like, and parking and all of those other kind of. I think it's more than just a matter of access. I think you have other issues along with that.
So the earlier part that when you didn't have the microphone was whether or not we can have the council members also do a site visit, going down the roadway, going down the trail. And that would be part of the motion that I intend to make. And I would make a motion for a public hearing on October 9th, to begin at 4:30 in Papaikou Gym, and to also have a site visit at 3 o'clock, where the council members will meet at Pinky's, and then do a site visit prior to the public hearing. So that would be part of the hearing. Thank you for that. I think it's an important part to make sure we do that. Any other on the process? Go ahead.
I was wondering if out of all these hearings, there's 4, right? Out of the 4 hearings,
Yes.
Which hearing would be the most important for everyone to show up at?
I think every hearing is important for people to show up, but obviously the meeting that's going to be on the first meeting that goes to the county council, that meeting is a pass or die day. The committee meeting on November 9th at 8 a.m., that's going to be where if it dies at that meeting, then the resolution dies. If it passes at that meeting, then it moves forward. Yeah? And, votes can change. For example, if you come to the first meeting, right? And at the committee meeting, and there's a majority of the people that feel positive about it, and they vote yes, and it moves up, and they can still change their mind. the council has been known to change their minds and votes. So say on the first committee meeting, they vote no because there's not public participation, there's not a lot of people that came out to say they support it, they could certainly vote no at that time. So it's hard for me to tell you what is important or not. I think every hearing is important, and that's whether you oppose it or whether you support it. I think it's both. But I know it's difficult for these meetings because it's going to be held during the day and not a night meeting here in Papaikou. But I will let you folks know that you folks would have the opportunity to, what is all these flyers here? I wanted to keep the things shut over there. But anyway, gee, what was I saying?
All the council things are important.
All of the meetings are important. So, you know, I would say come on. Oh, I know what I was going to say. But you do have an opportunity to provide testimony via email, or you have the opportunity to provide a testimony, written testimony we can send in as well. So people can participate even if they're not able to come. And council gets all the information. Thank you. Do you have a question right here? Again, about the process, before we open it up, hold on a second. Go here, right there. Okay, the question is, are the emails read out loud? No, they're not. What happens is when the emails come in for public testimony, the council members get a stack of it. So the council members there due diligence to read the emails, to see how people are thinking. And just to let you know, as a council member on this council, I will tell you, the council members read the email. They do. It's, you know, so sending an email is a good thing. Go ahead, Lynn. On the process.
Yeah, I think this is process. Did the prosecuting attorney make a decision that this wasn't just a matter of enforcing the law? I mean, we have a law that you have to provide a right of way. And George Harrison, all the rights of way in Keaukaha, Kahala Beach, Kailua Oahu, I mean, you have to. So how come we have to go buy it?
Well, very good question. We have asked that question of the planning department. We've asked that question of the corporation council, and what has come back to us. Because the question is whether or not a trail existed, right? Whether it was a trail you like. But hang on a minute. But what happened was they actually told us, in this case from the planning department, that the property belongs to the WAS, and it is there. They can deny or not deny access to the property. Yeah. Well, hang on. But that's what we have to deal with, yeah? Yeah. Let's go to the first meeting, please. Yeah. Look, one of the reasons this has gone through a very long process was that we allowed for people to provide feedback to me as a council member of the district of what are the options. Now, obviously, the best option in my mind was to be able to have a situation where people are can come to the table and agree and make everybody happy, a win-win. You know, but unfortunately, we're not at that at this time. And what has been brought forward to us is the only option, if we want to have a public pedestrian trail there, would be through eminent domain. So that probably will be worked out in the court system. We have a lady right here in the front. Yeah. I agree with you. The statement made was that when the house was purchased, that the county was supposed to take over the road at that particular time. But what has been determined, or has been brought forward to us as information, is the fact that when the WAS bought the property included the roadway all the way up to Dinkies. And that's kind of why this resolution deals with, you know, if we're going to get the easement try to consider having an easement for the trail, that if we don't get the roadway, and that's owned by the landowner, then they could simply deny access on the road now. So that now you got to go through all of this again. So, you know, but the other thing too is, as far as the part of the road, you know, the county sewer line is on that roadway. We have a county sewer there, which the community worked very hard to get that project through. And so the county does have some easement rights over that roadway, because we do have the county the county sewer system on that roadway. So I think there's certainly reasons, even outside of this whole issue, for the county to acquire the road. So we're going to try to do that. 1 second, yeah? 1 second. I'm going to go over here to this gentleman, and I'll come back this side. And I'll come up here. Again, we're going to go on the process, and then we'll open up later to give people share how they feel about the issue, yeah? Yes, sir.
My question is this document right here, during the whole process of the 4 meetings from now to November 9th, can it be any way, shape, or form amended, line items taken out and put in?
Yes.
And can go both ways, right?
Yes. Yes, that's a good question. The document that comes before the county council, any council member is able to amend the document for, as long as you don't change the intent of the title of the document. Because say, for example, someone wants to make an amendment and say, whereas I don't agree with the resolution and Dominic Yagong is nuts, take it out. They can't do that. All they gotta do is vote no to accomplish that, yeah? But you can make amendments, for example, you can say, well, we don't want the street. Take out the street and only proceed through the trail. Things like that. Or we could say we want X amount of pedestrian trailway, that's in the document. So yes, it can be amended. I have a gentleman, with lady right here, and I go to the gentleman. Go ahead.
Mill Road, when pedestrian easement from Pinkies all the way down, or are we talking about being able to now park on the road?
Yeah, right now, as you all know, I mean, folks, I'm assuming everyone here has probably been down there. You guys know that that's a very narrow road. And, that has been a contention and issue as far as providing parking. But honestly, there is no parking on that roadway. People will park on neighbors, in front of people's homes and so forth. For the most part, I do know that a lot of people get dropped off and walk down and use it truly as a pedestrian. By acquiring the roadway, it doesn't necessarily say that we are going to open up parking for that roadway. It doesn't necessarily mean that. But it is an issue, and certainly it's an issue that can be brought forward by the owner of the property because of the parking. But owning the roadway would not necessarily mean that we would approve parking for on that roadway. Yes, go ahead. Yes. Right. Because I believe that the owner of the roadway now has restrictions, right? And she would actually mark the cars and say you can't park on the roadway, you're parking on pavement. I know that has been an ongoing issue with the residents there. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. Sir, go ahead.
Yes, Councilman Yagong, I have some questions in relation to this, yeah.
Okay.
You have stated that the county has to go through the process.
Okay, 1 second, Pat. I'm sorry, ma'am. Okay, I'll repeat it to make sure that thank you so much. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, let me repeat myself. Councilman Yagong, you have stated that the county has to go to the finance and all before you buy the land. But is it really, do we have a charter or an ordinance? Because the problem doesn't only exist here, it's a whole island. And the problem is that the realty, when they sell the land to the people, they don't tell the people that the access should be for the people. So we get stuck right there. The people get stuck. And now the county has to go purchase that because the realty people making money and we, the taxpayers, gotta pay the bill now. I don't think it's right. I think the county should have an ordinance that telling the realty that when you sell the land, the people have the right of way. This is our land and we need that.
Thank you. You heard that? Did you hear that, please? Okay. I know when Mr. Pacheco talk, everybody, I think they heard that always on White Hill Valley, I think. Mahalo, Mr. Pacheco, thank you. We have a question right here. Right here. Again, we're just going to go on the process, okay, just so that we can get out of that portion, and then we can go into the discussion about the resolution. Okay, why don't we come back to that? Thank you, Tony. Before you go, why don't you get Mr. Vizier back there, and then we'll come back this way. Thank you, everybody. Again, I paused the process so we can get that part out of the way, and then we can open it up. Go ahead, Barry.
Why are we using the eminent domain process rather than putting this land up and purchase with the tax monies? I can't think of the proper name of the law. Help me out.
You're talking about the open space?
Yeah, open space.
Okay.
thing. Why are we doing this instead of the open space process? I think everybody would want.
Yeah, on the open space, that's a good question, because as you know, every year we put 2% of your 2% of the revenues collected in taxes to an open space fund. The thing is, Mary, in order to do the open space fund and utilize money for it, you have to have a willing seller. If the person is not willing to sell the property through the open space, then negotiation dies. So that's what happens with the open space funds. You have to have the willing seller. For example, when we bought the lookout in Waipio Valley, the owner there was willing to sell that property to the county and negotiate with the county. So you have to have of course, a willing buyer that has the money to do it, and then you have to have the willing seller. Through the open space concept, if the person says we're not interested in selling the property, then the county does not pursue it.
When did the law say no?
During meetings that we've had throughout the time that the meeting, and I've also talked to them personally about that, and they told me that they do not want to sell the property. 1 second, before we go here, I want to go back this way, and then we'll come back here, okay? Anybody on the process, and then we can go right here?
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure that you've gone through the process of whether in 1952 this quick claim deed was actually legal. With what Mr. Pacheco, I think, was saying, that there are certain rights that the people have, and was this just something that the realtors just said, anything on their document, to sell the property? Was it legal for them to sell the road? Was it legal to sell no riparian rights and easement rights and everything for the people?
Well, the property was owned by C. Brewer, as you all remember, and C. Brewer did make the purchase. Now, I've seen some deeds of some of the folks that live on Silverton Camp, and I've seen the deeds where the deeds say that they have undivided interest of that particular roadway. And but what has been, as we met with, I think it was Mr. Cross, John Cross, in speaking about that one item, what he said was that the undivided interest was in the side roads, the road that come off the mill road, and it goes in. That's where the undivided interest is, and not in the main road, and that's what was brought forward to me. Barbara, let's go here, and then we'll come down this side too.
I have a question about the public hearing. Will that be in the evenings so that people can come, or will that be during the day?
I'm anticipating, as you can see, a very big crowd here. I'm anticipating a very large crowd when we get to the point where we're actually making a decision. So in the public hearing, my intention is to begin the public hearing at 4:30 because we know it's going to go on very long. So instead of 6 o'clock, at 6 o'clock we probably get done at 1 o'clock in the morning. So we start at 4:30 after the site visit, and still people that can come early can testify, but those at Pahana at 4:30 will still be able to come. And I'm positive that the meeting is going to continue on because of the amount of people we do anticipate. Let's go here for the process. Anybody here for a process? Okay, let's come over here. Thank you. And then we'll go to you, ma'am. Thank you.
So, if we assume that the county council does approve this bill.
Yes.
Then it goes to the court system.
Yes.
Now, will the court system, is it just sort of a rubber stamp thing?
No.
Or is there a possibility that they would say, regardless of what you guys think, it's not illegal to do this?
Did everyone hear this? This is a very important question. Everyone heard the question? Okay, the question was, if the county council approved this, it now goes to the court system, and the question was, is it just a rubber stamp, or that it goes to the court system and they just approve what the council wants? The answer to that is no. What happens is it can go to court, the county will file for the eminent domain, and would have to go before a judge, and the private property owner would be able to come forward and say that we don't agree and that we appeal and so forth. So it's still the judge will have to make that decision. And the judge could rule either way. The judge could rule, yes, there is a public purpose for this trail, or the judge could say, no, we feel that what they're providing is ample enough. So it could go both ways. But before you get there, we gotta prove this in order to get there, yeah? Let's go to that lady here. Good question, thank you.
The information that you mentioned about the easements with the county for the sewer.
Yes.
And also the information about open space versus in
eminent domain.
Yes.
Is there somewhere where we can educate ourselves about these other things? Because it just seems like that county easements for sewer should have a huge impact on this. I mean, so is there some place where, is there other stuff we don't know about that you know,
You
is there a
can,
website? Is there something?
yeah, there's a, Hawaii.gov for the county of Hawaii, there's a website, that you can actually click on the open space, and it'll give you the rules in regards to the open space, as far as what governs it, what conditions there are, how the lands are selected and so forth. There's a process for that. Now, as far as the easement, for the sewers, it's an agreement that, at that time, C. Brewer owned the roadway, so it's an agreement between the county and C. Brewer at the time as far as having that right-of-way easement. But at that time, I don't think the county wanted to take over that roadway. Instead, they just asked for an easement so that in case they have to go in and dig a puka because there's a hole, but there's a problem with the lines, that they would have the right to do it. So all we have right now is a sewer easement, not an ownership of the roadway. If we were to do the eminent domain, then the county would then own the road, instead of having just an easement. 1 second, yeah? Is there, okay, let's go here.
Yeah, I'm a longtime resident of Silverton Camp. I live on the Mill Road, and I really appreciate this resolution, including the road and the beach and all, because people have been wondering, you know, this is not the first meeting. We've been fighting about this for like 10 years. As far as the roadway, I've got the original document from 1952 when they made the subdivision. It says undivided interest in the roadways. Doesn't say just the side roadways. That's just one man's interpretation. And I had a look information about the quiet claim deed they had. It was signed by the same guy. Said, I'll sell you all interest in the road that Mauna Kea Sugar has, or Ornamented Sugar has, if any. Because they don't have any, because they know it's owned by the people who bought the stock. But irregardless, you prepare that in this resolution. We appreciate it. I have another paper here from 1991.
Hold it, Mike, a little closer.
Sugar gave up on the road. And us as a community, in the Ada Colonial office, we got together with Dwight Takamini. We put in the sewer laterals. We had it resurfaced. We did the street lights, and then we put it around and they sell it for $1. We're trying to buy back our stock. What's up with that?
Thank you. Process, the gentleman back here, and then we can open it up for any thoughts that people may have on the. We'll go to you, sir, right after. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Is it possible that through eminent domain, the county of Hawaii, and therefore the taxpayers of Hawaii, would become liable if there are toxic materials in the old mill?
If the county owned the property, obviously we would be liable, yes.
Has that been looked into?
As a liability,
Are there toxic materials at the old mill?
well, what we would own, sir, would be actually the trail. We're not looking to own the whole property.
Right.
Yeah, so it would be just the trail.
But the trail being near the mill, I'm just curious about that aspect.
Good question. No, good question. Thank you. It's a very good question, sir. Let's go to the gentleman right here in the beige shirt. Right there.
So, since this is an eminent domain, how many cases have there been of takeover of eminent domain, and where has it been?
Yeah, eminent domain for the county council, the ones that I participated, normally it's a eminent domain for people that, say for example, there is a roadway that needs to be widened, and it's owned by a private entity, and what we would do is we would go to try to negotiate with the, and hopefully get a friendly condemnation, and we've done this, actually, that kind of stuff we've done as a normal procedure.
For beach access?
For beach access, no. Yeah, this certainly is, I think if you listen to the gentleman up on the very top, you know, about access being an issue all over the island, you know, I think this certainly is one of those issues that is going to, well, I think certainly it's going to be the first time that it's taking for a public access to a public resource.
Including Kona, where there's been a lot of instances of beach access being taken away because of hotels.
Yeah. Let's just remember though, before any eminent domain process can take place, you would need to have a council member that would sponsor that bill or that resolution. You know, and there's only 9 people out of 185,000 people that sits on the county council. So that would have to be taken in. And it's not done very often for that stuff because it is a contentious thing, yeah? One second, yeah? One second. Is there anyone that hasn't spoken that would like to talk about the process? Okay, here we go. And then we come back, okay? Gentleman right here.
When was the last eminent domain thing that happened that you guys passed? Is that something that happens every year, or what's the deal with
We did, the recent one that I remember is out in Kona. And basically what happened was when a person wanted to subdivide the land, they found that the county's right of way, his rock wall protruded into the county right of way. So we found that he actually was over his boundary. So what happened was, in order to subdivide, they had to do a negotiation. And basically what we did was, we did a friendly condemnation. It didn't cost the county anything because it was in his best interest, to turn that thing into for the county.
And before that, has there been one like this where it's been contentious?
Yeah, not like this. This is a different. This certainly is a different issue when it talks about this type of excess. Most of the stuff has been for eminent domain, for sewer lines, for sidewalks, widening of roads, and so forth. So, is there anyone else that hasn't spoken yet? That would like? Okay, let's go to the gentleman up there. Let's go to the lady right here in the front, and then we'll go to the gentleman. Thank you.
Okay, my question is the November 21st is the last current council meeting before the new council comes in. It's critical, it's 5 votes, and it's Thanksgiving week.
The council doesn't get inaugurated until December 3rd. So in other words, this particular eminent domain process is going to be done with the existing council. That's correct, if it goes that far. That's correct. They'll be there. They'll be there. They'll be there. That's all we get paid to do. Anyone that hasn't spoken yet that would like to have a... Okay, right here. Go ahead.
So with all the hard work that Kalani Lyman did, we got over 5,000 folks. We all got to go out, I think, and see our other council members and convince them ahead of time before they come here that we need their help and support if they expect to be in office any place around.
Okay. Anyone? Okay, gentleman right there. Thank you.
Dominic,
Yes, sir.
The question I have is kind of tangential to what's going on. It's my understanding past decision that the state legislature did 20 years ago affects hunting and gathering rights. Has that not been mentioned to the woman who owns this property as far as, hey, people can go on that property as long as they have traditional hunting and gathering rights, and what is her response to that? And I guess my biggest fear is that when this process starts and it goes to the judge, she's going to put an injunction on the thing and say, hey, nobody's coming across, and she's got a pretty good argument for the liability situation. And the judge is going to go, yeah, you're right, you're liable, somebody goes on the property, so until this process is completely done, one way or the other, she can't do that.
Yeah, she has been given notice, and like I mentioned, in the county department itself right now, what they are telling me is that there is no trail, there is no right for a public access there. That's why we're doing this here. We've traveled that road. We brought that forward, and the difficult thing is if the planning department is saying that, so the people that represent the government is saying that there is no, now that could be proven different when it goes to court, obviously, one or the other. But as far as whether that has been looked at, absolutely. This has been an ongoing thing for a long time, and that's a response that we've had from our own governmental entity. One second, Pat. I want to make sure anyone else that hasn't spoken yet and would like to make a comment on the process. 1 second, Lynn, before I go, let's rock right here. Thank you.
Thank you. If the county acquires the road, it sounds like it doesn't currently meet county road standards, not wide enough. what would be the ramifications to the property owners along that road? Would they lose frontage? Would they complain? Could that create problems?
I think the county, the roadway would actually be taken as is, so whatever the actual dimension of the roadway would be, obviously the county, normally when the county does accept the road is actually brought up to county standards, sidewalks, all that stuff. But in this particular case, it will be acquiring the roadway as is. Okay, now that we've kind of gone through the process, is there anyone that would like to speak and give feedback in regards to the, let's start with come on you here, but hey, before we do that though, folks, I just want to again remind everybody, and actually thank you right now because everyone has been extremely courteous and very nice with the comments that they've made. And I know this is a contentious issue, but let's make sure that we be respectful and have quorum in what we say. And it's good to have an opinion, and even if you might not agree with each other, let's be respectful of that. Let's start right now. So we're going to open it up for now for your opportunity to tell your council member how you feel about this particular item. We'll start with Mr. Lively here.
First of all, I'd like to thank Dominic for helping us all through this process, and all of you guys coming here tonight, because we can sit back and grumble, but if we don't come out and show our support against these people, nothing will be done, and we're still going to be on the couch grumbling. Oh, before we could go there, now we don't can. And give me a couple of minutes, I'll give you the history about there. I have a good friend, Neil Christie, he couldn't be here tonight. He went on his own money to Manoa in the archives. He came back with maps. And down there in the 1800s is a wharf where the pillars are up in the river. He got the pictures of the ships coming in there. And basically the trail going down to that wharf is almost the exact same trail that we use today. And I don't see how these guys can tell in the paper that, oh, you could go down there for 100 years. My great-grandmother to my grandkids, I don't know how many years that, but it's pretty close to 100. They've been going down there day one, and my grandmother's still living yet, but she can come tonight, and she can tell you she was never denied access to the beach or to the river. And these people, since they came, we tried making friends with them, we was good friends. But her style is, when they put it up that gate, she approached me. She told me she wanted to bring in high-end tourists from Canada there. And she wanted me to play the entertainment game with Promanet, with Paulo Pigi, so she could make money. She said she'd pay me. I said, no, you know what? We do this kind of stuff, because that's what we was taught to do. That's how we help put food on the table. It's a way of life. Leave us alone. Don't bring your stuff. Our country is getting small, so small. Whether you be one hunter or one fisherman, we hardly get anything left. I told her, just leave us alone and let us live our lifestyle here. If they don't can show aloha for the people, they should pack their bags and go back where they came from. We stay all different nationalities here, but we all get along. We grew up the plantation style. We all work together. We share. Damn, everything is mine, mine, mine. I guess some more for say, but we're going to be here all night. But thank you, everybody, for coming. And please, keep supporting.
Anybody else here want to share their thoughts on the resolution? Tom?
What I gathered over the last year and a half or so, and the people's comments about their use of the trail over the years. And at this time, this book can't sit in my possession anymore. I need to give it to somebody who's going to work on this project, and that's you. This book has a lot of valuable comments from the community and from visitors that utilize that trail. And it should be presented to any land development people to read.
I thought this was my homework book that I lost 20 years ago. Tom, thank you. And by the way, congratulations on your retirement.
All right, big applause.
Make sure we bring you somebody to the office. Okay, next, yes, here we go. Let's go here and we'll move down this way.
Just very briefly, I'd like to disagree with Mr. Lyman in that I think many lot owners would have immediately closed that gate, never allowed the access that Jim and Charlene have allowed. They close it maybe 2 or 3 days a year. They limit it to 12 hours a day, which is basically daylight hours, which is pretty standard for many beach parks. The rules they posted, the no alcohol, no dogs, no fires, are the same rules that are posted at Honolulu. I really, and in exchange for this, they have been yelled at, they've been vilified in the press, they've been had people jumping the fence, roaming their property at night, cutting down their plants, stealing their fruit, and calling them all manner of expletive, deleted names. I really think that a much cheaper solution, and in the manner of aloha, we should be giving them our respect and thanks for welcoming the island folks 12 hours a day.
Thank you very much.
I can rebut on some of it.
We're getting up to speak. How about in this area here? Ben, go ahead.
I too would have to say that I agree with Michelle. They put the trail in at their own expense. They put the trail in and they made it available to people in the community, 12 hours a day, through their own private property. There aren't a lot of other landowners doing that. Most have closed it up completely. So I, again, think that this whole thing is way out of proportion.
Hang on.
Yeah!
Hang on. We're going to be really nice, really respectful. Go ahead, let's go here, and then we can go to the gentleman right after that. Thank you, everybody.
I really worry that you're setting a terrible example by going this way, by going eminent domain and offering to bind. Because the law, you're not as old as I am, and I remember a lot farther back. The law is we have a right to get to the ocean. We don't have necessarily a right to go. It's true everywhere. And if you buy Hawaii oceanfront land, and you've got a big stretch of it, not if you have a 100-foot lot, but if you have a big stretch of it, you have to provide reasonable walking access to the public. But the Monolini Beach Hotel has to provide it, you know, and they have a concrete pathway so you can haul your cooler down there. If George Harrison of the Beatles in Nahiku, who owned 50 acres on the ocean, had to provide access to the ocean, then so do these people. And I'm not saying it has to be on the old trail, but some of the things that have been said tonight make me think that maybe it has to be that exact access. And you said the planning department, that was what I was trying to ask before, was who is this government authority that said you can't just take it? Because we can just take it. It is the law, really, Dominic.
It's legally. If we could do that,
we can.
Hang on. If that is an absolute solution, if that would be able to provide access to the property, you know, uninterrupted access at any time, you know, as any open access should be. Would I go that route? Absolutely. Do I want that? Absolutely. We've been told that that cannot happen. However, the planning director for the
I don't care. How long has he been here and how long has he been here?
Let's go to the gentleman. Thank you. I love this lady, by the way.
All right.
Absolutely love it. Don't mess with Linda Team, boy, I tell you. Don't mess with this woman. Go ahead, sir.
I'm a county of Hawaii lifeguard. I've been living on this island my whole life. We born here, we're not flown here. What is this? 6 to 6. Half of us, more than half of us, powered after 5. To go down there at half an hour, suppose the lights will come up. Our kids they go down, swim. No, we cannot because it's after 6 o'clock. We'll go fishing. 90% of us over here that does fishing. We're not going to go down there at 6 o'clock. We can go down there at break of dawn, which is 4:30 to whenever. But no, that game is not. Makes it hard on the local community for few families.
That's right, brother. Right on.
I hate to rag on the peoples, but I have personal experience with these people. They came, first thing they did is they put a rock wall across the road. First thing they did is a giant rock wall across the road. That means they want to be part of the community? doesn't look like it. Next thing they do is they fence this all in. I get fence behind my house. I used to lease behind my house, with big shower trees and all. I thought, hey, why don't you continue my lease again? Because if the thing fall down, somebody might get hurt, and then I'll have to sue you. You come with your Tusky cross, cut down all the trees. Eel nest, owl nest, all this kind. When he first put the fence, he tell, oh, you guys use the river, so where do you want your opening? I got an opening behind my house to go down the river. I thought, right over there. I go shoot at one pig about 6 months later. He's hanging on my fence. What are you doing? Trying to kill his pig. No, come out from there, Tony. 2 days later, there's 2 cops at my front door. No trespassing. So then my daughter goes down the mill in 2006. Hey, Dad, the fence was closed. Wow, that's a first. I dialed 911 because, like she says, where's our access? 911. Somebody's breaking the law. We've been going up and down there forever, and all of a sudden the fence is closed. This is in 2006. They bought the place in '95. So they put the fence, they left the gates open. They gave me a gate. Yeah, we hold everybody is all good. And then, boom, in the back, police knocking on your door. You know, I feel under assault by these people. They knock on my door, tell me, oh, people can't park in front of your house. That is my house. If my family gonna park here, they gonna park here. Get out of my yard. And they do it over and over.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's go here.
So thank you again. What are the rules for coming to the beach from the ocean?
I think you can come from the beach to the ocean. Yeah, I think so. Let's go up there. Let's go up there.
Yeah.
So you're talking about access from the ocean.
Mr. Councilman, I'm just going to read what I had stated earlier.
Okay.
This is a county problem, obviously. That's why we're all here and they want to hear it. But also, I want to ask you, what does the state have their policy? Because apparently, the county has this, we don't have access, and yet the state, we also don't have access of the mountain. So isn't the state and the county getting together, trying to fix this for the people? Because it's going to cost the taxpayers money to go to court, to get easements, when all these supposed to be rented, because our politicians, state and county, they don't care for the people. This stuff is happening because the people that elected do not look for the people for the right away what we had from the past, and we're losing it because of, I hate to say this, politicians that don't look for people. If we have politicians look for people, state and county would not have this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How about over here? Anybody over here who would like to say? You want to say something? You want to say something? Here we go. How about the gentleman in the brown shirt? Okay, we'll come right back to you. Thanks.
I think that what Mr. Pacheco said earlier is that the walls, they never know. So we over here now, we're fighting against the walls never know. But the real problem is what needs to be fixed. Because today it's Papaikou, tomorrow it's Hakalau, and we're going down the line, down across the island, that on the county level, on the real estate level, or whatever level it is, it needs to be fixed. And it needs to be told to those that are purchasing land, especially the oceanfront, or wherever it may be, that they have to allow the access. And so we can go back and forth, but we have to stop that problem now, or do whatever we got to do to stop that problem now. And as far as the walls go, I think this decision, or this judgment, is as big as when Rodney King would get the judgment against him. And I'm not saying, I'm not warning, I'm not predicting the future or whatever, but I'm not trying to threaten anything, but I can tell you it's that serious to me and to my family and to the rest of the community, that if we lose the access, go get big trips.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Laura, let's get to the gentleman right here in the back here. No run, take your time. Mahalo, go ahead. Jose, my name is Vito. I'm also a former county lifeguard, and I wanted to respond on behalf of the citizens that were over here. I personally have went down with a few surfers that I see going down when she first moved into the property. And I'm a professional entertainer, meaning I get paid for make everybody happy. And I tell you right now, I tried my darndest to talk to her because her initial approach, and it's about the approach, wasn't too respectful. And us born and raised here in a big island like Grotto Sherwood over there, we is born and raised to, number one, respect our kupuna. Regardless if they're right or wrong, you have to respect and hold that respect down. Now, when I tried to talk to this woman in civil terms, she began to be condescending towards me. And in regards to, there's people trying to vandalize her house and whatnot, I know for a fact that she will intimidate them. What happens when you put one pig in the corner? The pig not going to stay there and put his tail between his legs. That pig will get defensive, or that person is a human being. And it's not fair to any one of us because we have less money or less land to be treated that way. I'm an entertainer, you know what I mean? All I see is a clear act of ethnocentrism. You see it, it's right down the middle. I give more money, I'm going to wall this thing down, you cannot have one. I don't think that's right at all. I speak on behalf of all us guys who have nothing. All we have is our kids and our family and our roots. You know, owning that property right there is a big kuleana. She should have known that when she bought that place. Somebody should have broke it down to her that this is one. You know, does anybody know what Papaikou means? Iko was a chief of this place. He was the konohiki. This was his Papaikou. I told this to Brother Marco Sorio, who runs this gym. He's the director. I said, you know what? I hate to say this, but you know when your volleyball teams, they go, Papaikou! I just wanted to tell you the story. That way, when they sing, they get that sense of self-pride and be proud of who they are and where they come from. No matter what your cultural ethnicity is, like Brother Mr. Lyman said, we all get along and we all share together. If we cannot do that, and we're going to continue to complain, it's not going to work out. We're going to lead from one roadblock to the next. Of course, there's roadblocks. If we are men and we get this road, where's the parking? There's all kinds of questions that need to be asked on the next meeting, which I encourage everybody to go to and think. And you get time from now to October. So think of these questions. Don't just come over there and say, I go grumble, I'm going to say this and that. Think of these questions like Mr. Pacheco, calculate them, make it say that so that it's concise and it gets to the point. And we need to meet one common goal. It's for all of us to have our rights, yeah? Not just for the people with all the money. Mahalo.
All right, bro.
All right, my name is Dylan Shropshire. Many of you know my father, Steve Shropshire, and our company. We own the 70-acre strip of land that borders this property tonight that's being discussed. We support the public school for providing access to the ocean. With that being said, all of you are aware of our past development and project that my father proposed. And you know, all of you reached out and were against it, and we listened, and we withdrew our project right away. It hasn't been any plan to continue that project at all. It's been gone. It was taken out 3 years ago. And you know, I moved here when I was 8, and I grew up here. So, you know, I feel very strong about this property and this community. I live here, I work here every day. And I want to see something happen with my property and my father's property. We would like to provide, you know, we began reconstructing ideas, not, you know, development, just different ideas and playing with something. But with that being said, we will never present a project without having this community's input first. And we're very open to providing parking for this beach, and we're very open to it. With that being said, it has to align with our future project and our goal for our property. But we are looking forward to something like that. Once again, my name is Dylan, and I'm here every day. If you see me around, stock story. I'm open to suggestions, ideas for our property. I'm here.
Okay, gentlemen right here. Thank you, sir. Right in the front.
Previously stated that the property owners cleared away for the public to have access to the beach.
Well, hold the mic like this.
It was previously stated that the people that own the property in question cleared a pathway so that the public could have access to the beach. And my question is, what went wrong with that gesture on their part? And could the effective government somehow resolve the issue based upon the fact that the property owner's intent, in my view of it, the property owner's intent was to give the public access to the beach?
I can answer part of that.
Thank you. 1 second.
Well, I like to say, we had a trail from the old days when we had the peat pens over there. It was a bus-up trail. He made it better, yeah. But you know what went wrong? When he started putting a gate in, just like brought over here a lifeguard. I work too. I off only certain hours. If I go pound up here or dive, I go with the tide. And when they first came in there, we educated her and Jean about how this community lives, how we use the ocean as our refrigerator, as a gathering spot, just to clear your head. And she was, yeah. But now when she puts the gate, and I'm one of them, I have to jump the fence. And then she sends her dogs on me, only to do what I wanted to do, to put food on the table. And I'm a law-abiding citizen. And I told Mayor Billy Pino, I grew up with him. If it wasn't back in my Pilau days, I would have hooked up that gate to my Chevy truck and pulled it down. But we gotta, that's why I'm glad you're helping us, Dominic. We gotta try to do things the legal way, but it's frustrating, but we gotta hang in there. And one other thing about her, how she's two-faced. When we had the first series of CDP meetings at the center, we was in groups. She was with the county guy on the board. We all taking turns talk. Money was there. All our stuff we was talking about. Everybody, access to the mountain, access to the ocean. And she's over there writing it down, agreeing. Came my turn talk. I said, hey, you own the place here by Akosho with the no trespassing sign. She thought, who, me? No. I said, how can I get your name over there? How you get this small gate by the mill? Get one by the sewer plant for walk-in. They went well a team shot 2 years ago and get no trespassing sign. I brought that up to her face. She was so ashamed she didn't sit down. I said, how can you write public access when you're the worst one around here denying us? And I can climb the fence, but my name's older brother Seth is 80-something. He's gotta be climbing fences to go fish. And he does that every day as his life's going to the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, brother, you was right. Yeah, sister, you was right. The rights we get is the 1840 Constitution, which we people who live in Hawaii have the rights right away to work the beachland and the riverland. You know why? That's how we live. We all live together. We always cook together. And what is worried about the owners is this kid they get sued. That's what it is. But only one thing, we get a watch. Who will rip off every time? Every time they go down the mill, go surf out, they come back, somebody will rip up the car and whatnot. That's what us community guys gotta get together and watch guys like that. Thank you.
All right, Malik.
By the way, that's my name. I'm the only one that know all the trail all over.
Okay. I'm not from this community, but you should listen to him because he is a really important resource. The guy who knows the trails and who has used the trails for more than 20 years, way back then. Okay, I'm from Kohala. This has been going on for years. We fought the public access case, one of the first cases in the state back in the 1970s. We fought Castle and Cook. And when the plantation closed down, they closed the gates. They leased the land to the ranchers, and the ranchers closed the gates. Same thing with this community. When I listen to you guys, hey, grown men are crying because the employment was gone, and then they locked the gates to the mountain and the ocean. That was their livelihood. You know, it was so painful, and people were crying, and who cared? Nobody cared. Like this guy up here somewhere said, whose fault is that? It goes back to the county and the state because this is the law. Who makes these laws? These guys are coming in and just taking up this land, cutting out the access. Whose responsibility is that? We have been fighting this thing since 1970s. Whose responsibility? It's the county. It's the state. And these guys, I mean, not you, I mean, you know, not specifically, but these...
That's okay, I'm here. I'm the only one. That's okay. No worry, boy. Don't worry.
The politicians do not know the law. They don't seem to be knowing the law, and they don't seem to care. But, you know, we need to have politicians who know the law. This law is Hawaiian Kingdom law. And this is passed on when we became a state. The state adopted our Hawaiian Kingdom laws, HR, Hawaii Revised Statutes. And public access is one of them. And so the politicians need to be aware of this, and they need to fight for the people. They need to fight for it. I just did a film because I'm in this film class, and I told my husband, we gotta do this because we fought it when we were in our 20s. We're now, the youngest is in their 50s, you know, we're in our 60s, 70s, people have died. And so we made this film, which just got done, still working on it a little bit, but we showed it in Kohala. And, you know, it's being fought again here, over and over and over. Why? Because politicians need to get with it and say, this is the law. And the landowner should not own the people. It's the people who own the landowner.
Thank you very much. One second. I'll probably check my time here. We're at 7:32, okay? Gentleman right here. Then we can go to the gentleman right here.
Thank you, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
My name is Kerry, and I think it's a shame that this whole process has reached this point. We have Jim and Charlene, I've known for several years now. They in good faith bought the property. They in good faith provided access. They could have closed it down, but they didn't. Now, if the law says that that was totally wrong, then they shouldn't have been sold the property to begin with. But that was not the case. And here we are trying to march forward to take their rights away to that land, to still leave them with the liability for it, still leave them with the maintenance of it, still, with no rules, 24 hours a day, people can come and go. Who's going to enforce that? The resolution talks about, the community, has helped, but what will they do on a day-to-day basis? I just think it's a real shame that we're at that point.
Thank you, sir. Let's go to the gentleman right here with the jacket. Okay, we'll come this side. Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
My biggest question is, what I'm asking is, because I overheard that Cibro had sold the property. Now, if Cibro has sold the property, do they have clear title? That's one question. Now, who the one brought the property and owning down at the mill, do they have real title too? That's the biggest question, because you know what? Even the attorneys here, they're supposed to know, and they know who is the rightful owner. Because this belongs to the princess of Papaikou. And this Ahukua is belonged to her and her family, and Ohana and the people. So, if this was taken away, taking the rights away, is a violation. Because you gotta get clear title. You don't have free title, it's void. So they gotta prove they have the title. And this is the biggest question, because I'm going to be asking a lot of this in a later time.
Thank you, sir. Can you give it to the gentleman with the white shirt there? Right there, just coming down right there.
See, the whole issue now, my name is Dominic. The issue is there's a right of way. If there's a right of way, or it is not a right of way. This is the picture of the old mill, how it used to be. All old timers, Tony. This is the old picture of the old mill, how Papaikou Mill used to be. They never used to have any surface. Because the reason why, it was all by gas, right? You couldn't surf, but you could go fish, and you could do whatever you want. But surfing was out of the picture, because there was no beach. Okay, now, this is the whole picture how the mill used to look. Please, you know? Okay, this used to be where the big man was. Right? This is the back. This is where they used to pick up all the molasses and the sugar. Don't you know? There was no right of way. In order the trail where the trail is now, we had to make that road. Plantation had to make that road because of liability. The surface was going into the mill, and the mill was closed. They used to burn it to make fire inside it. And the firemen used to have to come down and turn the fire off. For liability-wise, they had to fence this area. Okay, now, this is our trail load. There was no trail over there. We had to go down with bulldozer and make that trail in order for them to put the fence. But there was no trail. I was the one that went with the bulldozer. Ginny Kurvala, Miss Tanaka, our foreman was Richard Bible. There are 4 of us, all involved in this project because of liability-wise. To protect the plantation from liability, they had to fence the whole area and close it up so nobody going to the mill. But actually, there was no right of way. Maybe there was a small trail, but there was no right of way. How they used to go down, when I used to work for Manaki Sugar, they used to go down when the mill was closed. They used to go down through the steps, or they used to go down where the mill was and come on a flow line. But there was no right of way. So how can we?
Mr. Cooley.
Yeah.
I respect you, Manao, but I'd like to say something. From my grandmother and her brothers. My grandmother cannot come here tonight, and my uncles never come. But like from my time, had the trail by the peat pen. And from my grandparents was growing up and my uncles, they walked through the mill by the trolley car area and was 24/7. With the mill running, they was always allowed to go down the steps to the beach. And then how you saying, when the mill closed and had the fence, I was high school that time. We still was going down. It wasn't a big trail like that, but there was always a small trail that we went along the gulch, that same area. I know when you guys went bulldozing, it came a lot better, but there was always a trail that we always used to go down there. And had the other one by the point where the garden was. We used to go down there one too. But we was always going down
See,
there.
the thing is, I'm not against the local. I'm for the local. This is what happening on our island. People that come from abroad is buying all of that. We don't have any money. We cannot buy the land. So this is the problem that we face. Papaikou, they have the gated community. We used to go fishing, diving, and everything. It's locked up.
But we still go, and we can go anytime.
I know you can. But where's the freedom though?
Yeah. And
That's
then-
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Where's the freedom? There's a gated community.
Yeah.
She's locking up the place.
Right.
Providing because of liability.
But that's why, when we've been talking with Dominic here, if the count, and I told Charlene this. First I told her, why don't you donate it to the county? Just donate the trail section to get out of your liability. And we have the manpower to put up a fence up with no cost to you. So you don't have to look at us, you don't have to worry about people trespassing. She didn't even want to compromise or come to the table with us.
Okay, but look at it this way. If you own the land, would you let people go down anytime of the night?
My father
Okay,
did
hold on,
2
hold on.
acres. He lets everybody go
Okay,
to
hold
his
on, hold
property
on.
from one side
Let me just say one thing.
I'm asking a question.
Yeah.
I would, as the
Hold
law.
on.
I would.
Let me just say this, and kind of get us back on track. I really appreciate everybody's manao, I really do. Okay, but I will tell you this: that you will have that opportunity when we do the public hearing to have the council members here that's going to make a decision on this eminent domain to share your manao. So I hope you come and share that, and others as well. So tonight we're not gonna make any decision tonight. But it's an opportunity just for me personally to hear your thoughts. Now, we've been going at this for almost 2 hours now, so we're going to be mahalo. So we're going to be closing up the discussion. Is there anyone that really feels they really need to say something at this point in time? Let's right there.
Councilman Yagong,
Yes.
I just have a real concern about the tenor of the meeting tonight. You said at the beginning that you wanted everyone to be respectful and courteous, and that has not happened tonight. There have even been people who've been making threats to the lot owners, and I would be very uncomfortable testifying at meetings if this was going
Does
to
anyone
continue.
feel like they're threatened here?
No.
Does anyone feel threatened?
There were threats made against the lot owners. I heard at least 2 people, and people cheered at that.
It was very nice seeing
And you did not intervene. By allowing that, you essentially condoned that, and I'm very uncomfortable with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. 1 second. I want to go to that gentleman, and then I'll go to the gentleman here, okay? Is that okay? You haven't spoken yet. Go ahead, sir.
I'm a guy here from this plantation. From 1921. Worked for the sugar company 53 years. Worked for this plantation for 45 cents a day, come to dollar days. You know, it was a hot sheet. But you people coming to this island here should have a lot of respect for local people. When my days of cleaning, we could pass by people's place, there was no problem. But I don't say everybody. But few of these people come to this island, as even by hunting, I get it so hard. If you got $1 million, $2 million, but we making $7,000 a year, don't make a living with 6 people. You think it was that easy? If I had $1 million, I'd buy a new car every year.
You get it.
The sugar mill there was back on the days when we used to haul sugar, and my first old trail was there by the Filipino big band, by the old sugar company. There was going down by the mill, going down the crossing the flume, going down the sugar boilers, going down to the river, to the big fresh dump there. And I used to go fish holy. No complaint. But today, I look when we change from territory to statehood. What's happened to this island? Few people, I don't have to blame everybody, but few try to control and get our lifestyle away from this island. So be nice, agree with the local people, talk, get together, do business the right way, not only one-sided, get together. A little trail going down there. I'm an old man, I'm 91 years old, I'm willing to help you cut the trail.
All right,
And the other thing I just want to say, I respect, Raquel, what you're saying. I do not want ever, in any of the meetings that I hold, and I'm proud of it, ladies and gentlemen, over the past 12 years, to be able to have meetings with people, I mean, I've been to places, there've been fist fights, let me tell you. I've been to places where people throw things at people, not at my meetings. That doesn't happen at my meetings. Now, this is a contentious issue. It's very emotional. Some people certainly have had that, but let's again continue to be respectful. One second, yeah? Let's be respectful of everybody else's thoughts. Let's go to this gentleman right over here, please. Lady Pinchini, thank you.
She was saying something about respect, and to this day, I still got a restraining order on me to not go down there. I just watched my friend pick a coconut out of a tree. She got it all on camera, on recorder, everything. I wasn't rude for nothing. She told me to get out of our yard, I got out of our yard, and then she knew I was Baker Tom's nephew. She had a police officer, not a sheriff or nothing, a police officer use his whole day to come sit me down just to give me a restraining order, just because I watched my friend pick a coconut. I don't understand. And then she says the reason she gave us a restraining order is because they harvest the fruit. They don't harvest the fruit.
Looking up, you plant all
We're empty because they're up this long.
Still follow
So you want to talk about respect? I don't. She got no respect for locals at all. But she wants to talk about it. Showing her respect, you gotta give to her. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even local. I just been for the last 3-4 years. Yeah.
Okay, let me just say, you know what? Gentlemen right here. He'll have the last. We'll have him, and then we'll go to the gentleman, and then we'll close out the evening. Go ahead, sir. Yes, sir.
I would like that information from everybody. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I would like to make a motion. We had a lead study of all these things from the start up to now. We practically know what's going on. I make a motion this thing stop as of right now.
Second. I second.
Unfortunately, it's not a county council meeting, but thank you for the motion. I appreciate that. Let's go to the gentleman, and he would run the meetings real good, I think. Hey, wow, hi, this man. Let's go to the gentleman right here.
I second.
Thank you, mahalo. Mahalo for that.
I just want to say that before any of us and after all of us, that'll still be a sacred valley. It's important that the government doesn't get in the way. It's important that the government facilitates this by themselves. If we come out one time like this, that's enough. This isn't our issue. We just want to access the path. So long after we're gone, the same issue is going to be there. And it's a government issue to take care of it. It shouldn't be in our way. Shouldn't require us to come out. So I think a lot of folks here just expect it to get fixed, get access restored, opened up, understood, delivered.
Yeah, and if you don't want to come to the public hearing, you don't have to. Don't worry. You're not being forced to come. It's something, if you want to come share here now, you can do so. We're going to close, Noelle, we're going to close with you because I want to make a couple of announcements and we're going to close the meeting. You folks have been very terrific tonight. Thank you. Go ahead, Noelle.
I just want to say that I really want to urge people to come when there are 9 councilmen here. Because if you don't, I think Dominic has heard us, but there's 8 other people who have to vote on this. And if they don't hear what the local people and what the other, what all the people have to say, we're not going to have a voice and a democratic process. So I just urge you folks to have the patience and endurance to keep coming to make your voice heard. Thank you.
With that said, I want to thank everybody for coming. I know that some of you didn't have the opportunity to sign in at the table. If you didn't do that, please do so we can communicate with you about the meetings. I know there's a petition on this other table that they're signing, but I want to thank all of you for coming. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Dominic.
Aloha.
Excuse me.
All right. Hey, you stay here. All right. And then how you doing? Oh,
Okay,
yeah.